Coming up on First at 4, some Kentucky lawmakers voiced their anger about long lines for voting to state elections officials in Frankfort today. And Russia says it is pulling out of a key region in the south of Ukraine.
Plus, continuing to watch the potential for showers to help us with the drought and the wildfire situation. Details on that coming up as First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Some Kentucky lawmakers had some harsh words for state election officials during a legislative panel meeting today. Lawmakers say it is not acceptable that some voters had to wait in extremely long lines on Election Day. Kentucky Secretary of State says he is proposing some changes, and elections officials say money is the big problem. WYNT's Phil Pendleton has more from Frankfort.
Secretary of State Michael Adams says overall the election process on Election Day in Kentucky was smooth, but there were a handful of problems, and so much so that some lawmakers grilled state election board officials over a plan that they say should have been approved to make the election process smoother in those areas.
And it's just unacceptable. We're lucky somebody didn't get hit crossing the big road, or that it didn't rain.
Representative Nimitz demanded answers from the directors of the State Board of Elections after showing the committee a video of a long line of voters taken just minutes before he says the polls were to close in Oldham County. He says it was so bad he called it voter suppression.
Between the two of us, we spoke to every county clerk in an effort to ensure that they were prepared.
Yeah, I'm a little frustrated that my effort to get more locations was overturned. I do hope the General Assembly will take this as a priority. I believe that they will.
The president of the County Clerks Association says it simply comes down to money. There's just not enough to pay poll workers sufficiently. And some poll workers make more in some counties, make a whole lot less in others. There needs to be a uniform plan, he says. We'll have more about that coming up at 5:30. But for now, in Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
Ideas were shared to get more election workers, such as hiring teachers or getting employees from a large company such as Amazon to work polling places. In Jackson, incumbent Mayor Laura Thomas was re-elected Tuesday night, allowing her to serve the community for another 4 years. She says it was a stressful and exciting few weeks, adding she's glad that the election is over because she says she still has a lot of work to do.
My focus moving forward is working on good projects that we've already started, working on our infrastructure that was aging and already in horrible shape, and then you take 2 major floods and then it damages those further.
Thomas says she's happy to continue finding ways to serve people in her community. We'll have more from her tonight at 6. Following Tuesday's election, the 95th District maintains under Democratic representation as Ashley Tackett Lafferty was re-elected to the district state representative seat. With the win over Republican opponent Brandon Spencer, Lafferty, first elected in 2018, celebrates another 2 years in her position. The Martin native says she is proud to have the support of her Floyd and Pike County communities as she heads back to work for her people.
It's an honor and a privilege, and I'm just grateful that they have placed their faith in me once again to represent their voice in Frankfort on behalf of Eastern Kentucky.
About the only Democrat left in the House or Senate here in the mountains. Lafferty says the work to get re-elected was worth it, and she looks forward to seeing the district continue to grow. 16-year-old Logan Sizemore lives in Leslie County and was just elected to office, yes, at 16. A spokesperson for Secretary of State Michael Adams says Logan is the youngest person in the state to hold office. Logan is one of 3 newly elected soil and water conservation officers. He says he decided to run for the position because of his interest in agriculture.
I want to try to put the pride back in this county, and I want to be able to enact change in the county as well to benefit it.
We asked Logan if he has plans to run for other offices in the future. He says he just wants to take it one step at a time. He's still in high school. You can see more of Logan's story later tonight.
Warms me heart. In any case, we continue to watch warm air begin to move on out of the region as, one, what's left of a tropical system brings much needed rain to the region, and two, we're going to see a big-time cold front push on through as well. Look outside from our Moorhead camera along Interstate 64, 70 the current reading right now. A little smoky, but for the most part, we haven't heard of too many fires up toward the I-64 corridor. Doesn't mean there aren't any, but in any case, downtown Whitesburg is all quiet right now. No smoke there, at least none that we can see from our camera at the moment. Low to mid 70s in many spots, with those temperatures also in the upper 60s in places like the Big Sandy. Look at satellite and radar. The first kind of few showers of that system. What's left of Nicole already moving toward the North Carolina-Tennessee border as we continue to see clouds move in. The bulk of the rain, of course, still over Florida and Georgia as Nicole comes ashore for the second time. So we'll continue to watch that. So you'll definitely want to keep that First Alert weather app handy. Clouds increase through the night. Temperatures stay steady as showers move into the region. Details on when we could see, finally, some relief from all these forest fire threats in a few minutes. Steve?
All right, thank you, Evan. Russia says it is pulling out of a key region in southern Ukraine. The military says it is withdrawing from Kherson, a move seen as a huge defeat for President Vladimir Putin. Putin annexed the region in September, making it part of Russia. CBS's Chris Livesay is in Ukraine with the latest on the withdrawal and the response from Kyiv.
In a war riddled with Russian failures, the Kremlin could point to Kherson, one crowning achievement. Until now, the Russian Defense Ministry is now announcing a withdrawal from the region, starting with the west bank of the Dnieper River. For now, the city remains under Russian occupation. It's the only regional capital Russia has held since the start of the war. Backed by billions in U.S. and international aid, Ukraine is now moving in, but with extreme caution. It could, after all, be a trap, as Ukrainian President Zelensky suggests. The enemy, he says, does not hand out gifts. But the enemy has suffered astonishing losses, thanks in large part to a steady flow of American firepower.
It's evidence of the fact that they have some real problems, the Russian military.
Only recently, Putin held a victory celebration in Moscow to announce his illegal annexation of 4 Ukrainian regions, including Kherson. They're becoming our citizens forever, he said. But for Ukraine's advancing army and the people living under occupation, forever may not last much longer.
And the timing is very interesting. One Russian TV presenter said this withdrawal is happening after the U.S. midterm elections because they didn't want to give a boost to Joe Biden and his allies. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Chernihiv, Ukraine.
The dream will never die. That's what the makers of the world's largest commercial plane tweeted when it was destroyed during Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And now the Antonov company says it's bringing the plane back to life. On Monday, the company tweeted that design work is already in the process. The company says it will take about $3 billion in 5 years to build the Mriya, which means dream in Ukrainian. The plane was built in the 1980s to carry the Soviet space shuttle, and it has about twice the hold capacity as a Boeing 747. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he will not attend the G20 summit in Bali, Indonesia next week. Putin will be represented by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been invited to the summit as a guest. Coming up on First at 4, a story about how backyards are being turned into private dog parks.
Plus, keeping some colder air moving into the mountains as we head through the next couple of days. The full details on the way.
WYMT News app offers alerts on